There's a lot of flash little coffee makers out there on the market. We've got the old-fashioned coffee plunger. It's huge, it's bulky, and it's awesome. Oh, it spills.
This is day 7 for us, and it's going to be the day that we leave the first series of lakes and really get into the Allagash River. That also means that we're going to encounter our first set of rapids, and that's going to be Chase Rapids. They're only a class 2, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be easy. From camp, it's a little under 2 miles paddling north to Churchill Dam. The dam opens up each day for a few hours before noon, so enough water flows over the rocks, allowing canoes to make their way downstream. This concrete structure was built in the 1990s, but the area known as Churchill Depot was an important supply station for logging camps. A rickety old building on the west shore was a bunkhouse for loggers heading to the camps, while on the east side, this rustic old shed is now a relic-filled museum of both the logging era and early Native American occupation.
Although the rapids in the river ahead may not be considered extreme, a canoe is not the vessel of choice for rough water. Our effects are loaded into the ranger's yellow pickup, and for a small fee, will be transported 10 miles downstream where the rapids end, allowing us to tackle them unburdened. It's the beginning of Chase Rapids, for better or for worse. Almost straight away we find ourselves crashing through white water. I've devised a strategy. Normally one to tackle obstacles slowly and with caution, I've decided to go against the grain and hit it hard. My reasoning is that travelling faster than the surrounding water should give better rudder control to navigate around the rocks along the way. Sadly, the rocks are numerous.
Okay, big rock here!
Oh fuck. I tried to go to the right and the current wouldn't let me.
The Allagash has been called by some the Allabash. It appears avoiding rocks at any speed is nigh on impossible. But our swift approach to the rapids is giving us less time to react, and the obstacles we hit are slammed into with some force.
Big rock here!
Yeah, we're gonna go over it.
Soon the terrible flaws in my plan are exposed.
Oh, we're hitting it. To show you. Yeah. I didn't see him. Yeah, I know. By then it was all over.
We set off again with a wet wife and a cranky dog. Our newly acquired ballast sloshes about unrestrained, creating the instability that encourages Wilms to take yet another dip.
Yeah, we all nearly went in then.
We're a very sodden trio by the time we wash up on shore at a place where the ruins of an old bridge lay submerged beneath the water. How are we doing, Summer Wilms?
Oh, I'm good, but I'm cold. And I did sustain a couple of injuries. I got that one there. And then banged up my ankle, but I haven't had enough time for that to bruise because that one just happened.
Oh, it was a little more intense than I was expecting. And, well, what do? And I'm freezing.
Cricket's a little stroppy. The day's definitely not panned out the way she thought it might. In fact, we all need a little time to warm up before following the flow of the water downstream to a small campsite called the Meadows. It's quite a relief getting to camp where we can all shed our wet clothes and put on dry, warm gear. The Meadows is but a tiny clearing in the dense forest, and our presence disturbs a delicate salamander, unimpressed by our intrusion.
The following morning after breakfast, and we're missing a party member. Is there a little dog? Hey, we've got to pack up. It's time to go. It's time to go.
It's not far to Umsaskus Lake, but the water level in the river is really low today, so we might be dragging quite a bit. It might be a little bit more challenging than it should be.
As things start to become shallow and rocky, we opt to use our inexpensive spare paddles to avoid damage to our nice wooden, not so cheap ones.
Soon we emerge into Umsaskus Lake, which is a little swampy on the southern end, an environment quite agreeable to this lone golden-eyed duck. We get close to some Canada geese that don't seem overly concerned by us floating by. It's quite the journey traveling north into Long Lake, where we finally arrive at the ruins of Long Lake Dam. Our friend Norman had given us dire warnings about running the rapids over the wreckage here. Protruding from the submerged timbers are savage spikes and rusty nails that would easily tear out the underside of a canoe. The harder but much safer option is to portage around. This of course means unpacking and transporting our equipment and then our canoe up and over the earthen parts of the dam and onto the other side. Once we have the canoe back in the water, it's time to repack, something we've gotten very good at. Then, when all is ready, we haul out to deeper water to continue our voyage.
Farther downriver, two distant boulders begin to animate and turn into our first moose sighting. The male is the first to make a hustle to the sanctuary of the forest, as it is hunting season, with bull moose antlers the prize. It's also the rut, mating season for moose, so it's quite likely our appearance has disturbed some light courting that could eventually lead to some heavy canoodling. Towards the end of the day, we pass beneath Henderson Bridge, not far from Inlet Camp, our intended home for the night. Heavy mist still rises off the lake, while both Coffee Pot and dogs stay warm by the fire. Wilms and myself go about the morning ritual of packing, oblivious to predatory eyes upon us. A rascally grey jay has spotted spilled peanuts and Cricket's food, and flies in to steal the booty. Soon enough its partner joins the mischief, and before long it turns into full-on looting. In little time at all, the table is wiped clean.
Preferring to mind her own business is a downy woodpecker, chipping away at the bark looking for insects. With a varied diet, the delightful red-breasted nuthatch is fast-moving and very busy. A rusty blackbird is a little more curious, though chooses to sticky beak from the cover of the foliage. These voluptuous red berries are of no interest to this ruffled grouse, who much prefers a tasty leaf salad. We're just about to leave our campsite here on the shores of Round Pond. Now there's several round ponds along the way, but this is the northernmost one, and that also makes it the last lake that we're going to see along the Wilderness Waterway. From here, we're going to enter the Allagash River once again, and from there, the trees are going to start to close in and the water is going to start to get shallow.
Not long after leaving the lake we encounter rock bars, where the water becomes so shallow the canoe gets grounded. The Allagash is notorious for its rocks, and during low water, sticking to the main channels is imperative. Within a meandering river, these channels snake about, diverge and converge, making following them from the low vantage point of a canoe no easy task. The way the water flows and ripples provides clues to the presence of rocks, ledges and gravel bars. But the ability to read the river, though can sound simple in theory, is much harder in practice. It's a skill that can only be learned by doing, and although we get a little better as time goes on, there's still a lot of pushing. Coffee plunger makes a great little bucket for collecting water out of the river. It's time for a brew. Wilms is out in the thickets gathering firewood under the protection of Cricket. Who then must supervise the fire building process. Soon moving to a higher vantage point to better oversee proceedings. As dinner goes on, it's shaping up to be a very pleasant evening beneath the forest canopy, with the gentle sounds of the river carrying through the night.
In the final part of the adventure, we have to make a decision. Finish the trip at Mashoud Farm or carry on beyond the Allagash Falls. In doing so, there's no turning back if the water levels prove to be too low to paddle. Join us for the conclusive episode, Part 4 of the Allagash Wilderness Waterway.